Sahana bhavatu, Sahanau bhavnaktu, Sahaviryam karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. When the Upanishad towards the end, the last line takes on a slightly different tag. Aniyan anupramanat. Anupramanat means because the knowledge is as good as Anu. Aniyan means the wrong conjecture, because those who make the wrong conjecture are as good as Anu. You know, Anu means atomic, not to be even thought of, because this is the object of their conjecture. And then one more word is there, atarkyam. Atarkyam is atarkyaha. It is corrected here, atarkyaha, na tarka yogyaha. Tark, 10th conjugation, tarkayati. You know, tarkaha means logic. And logic is a science, kind of, that heavily relies on inference. Inference and observation, they mix and match. You know, you can mix and match when you go to the shops. So similarly, this is a mix and match approach to Atma. Little bit of what one has seen, little bit of what one has thought, little bit of what one has conjectured, little bit of what one has inferred is put and tossed into a salad called Vaisheshika Nayayika. This is what it is. So this is logic. Logic relies heavily on Anumanam and Arthapati and also direct perception. And therefore it appeals to people because in the deployment of these three forms of knowledge, we have seen the 5 pramanas. In the deployment of these 3 pramanas is where the knower remains intact. In fact, the knower is in charge. Who operates Anumana? Whose Anumana is it? Mine, says the knower. Me, mine. Who is operating this, direct perception? My eyes, my nose, my ears, me. I am the knower behind all these things. I am the one. Me alone. Me the great. Oh, you are great? Only the knower, yeah. As the knower, I feel great, briefly. Until I encounter the next object of ignorance. Yeah. So this is the problem. Because the Atma is not a subject or the object. First of all, it's not an object and it's not a subject matter, not just for conjecture. Conjecture is a wild guess, but even for a studied logical inference. Atma is not an object of inference. Neither is it a subject matter for inference, because it is the subject matter. It is the subject, it is the only subject that matters. And so therefore, if it's the subject, then how can the subject infer the subject? You can only deploy the means of knowledge called inference on other objects. But when you want to know the inferer as you, how is the inferer going to be inferred? The inferer and the inferred, in order for inference to operate, have to be kept apart. Then only inference operates. There is inference, which is that operation of the knower with a means of knowledge called inferring. So that is inference, that process is called inference. And there is that which is inferred, the object, and there is the inferer, subject. So this is the triputi, the threefold separation which maintains and which maintains or which subserves this means of knowledge called inference. The means of knowledge called inference is deployed only because it keeps these 3 things distinct: knower, known, and the process of knowing. Inferer, inferred and inference. Only when those things are separate can inference operate. You cannot conclude I am, therefore I am. That is not inference. That's not inference. So inference, how does inference operate? First is a general observation, pratyaksha. All men are mortal. General thing, observation. Then a specific observation. Socrates, poor fellow. Socrates is a man. Correct? Specific operation of this observation. First, a general observation. Everything that's a man. We are not bringing women into the thing at all. That's because this is a very ancient thing. So this is all men are mortal. Okay. Observation number 1, general observation. Then you have a specific observation about a specific person. Socrates is a man. And then you have the inference. Therefore, tasmat. What is the tasmat?
Oh, Socrates is mortal.
Socrates is mortal. You cannot say Socrates is all. That is not the correct inference. The correct inference is Socrates is a man and he will get the same fate that befall all men, which is mortality. So mortality is inferred on the person of Socrates, on the body, mind, sense complex of Socrates, because it has been observed that all men are mortal, and because of the specific knowledge of Socrates also being observed to be a man and coming under therefore the category, which is now called inference, coming therefore under this knowledge that therefore this must be the situation. Anyatha anupapattihi, because any other thing is not possible. It's not possible for him to be a man and be immortal. Not possible. Anyatha anupapattau arthapatti. That is what is arthapatti. Same thing. Roads are wet. What is the thought? What is the reason? It must have rained. Nobody says somebody must have taken a big hose pipe and gone like this in the night. Nobody thinks that. Why? Because this is another thing about the inference. The only most direct possibility is entertain. Because that is usually the correct possibility. If that doesn't fit, it is dismissed and then another thing is brought about. Roads are wet. Oh, first possibility, the most direct possibility that causes the roads to be wet is that it is rained. But then you look at these two roads, they are wet. Then you look at the other two roads, they are very dry. Then you cannot say, oh, it only rained on this side. That would be wrong, because it's again not in keeping with a general observation of what happens when it rains. It doesn't only rain on two sides of the road and then not on the other side of the road, on east and west, and not north and south. It never happens like that. So that it is violating a general observation, and so the specific a different explanation has to be found, because it cannot have rained only on the west and the north sides of the street. So therefore there must be another explanation found. What? A pipe has burst. A water pipe got burst, and children had a lot of fun because it's summer. They went and they thought it was an underground spring, and then they had a lot of fun with all their toys, and then rubber duckies, everything. And then what? After that they left, all the roads were all wet. That explains the selective drenching of the roads only on two sides and not on all sides. You see how the logic operates? And the logic is a very comforting means of knowledge, which is a combination. It's not a separate means of knowledge. It's the name given to the simultaneous deployment of observation and inference together. It's called logic. Nothing wrong, but makes the person feel on top of the world. I am logical, very practical, does not go against anything. Everything is so wonderful, everything is great. I believe in logic, scientific. There is this feeling of science. So what's the use? No use, because the logic, is like a donkey. It will take any weight, no problem. You can make anything logical. It's not logic really, it's tarka bhasa. It's as though logic really, which is dangerous. Jnana bhasa, tarka bhasa, this is what is our problem. So here, he takes the word atarkyaha, na tarka yogyah, that which is not capable of being deduced logically. Atma is not deduced, neither is it induced. It's not a matter for induction or deduction. These are all logic terms. This is not a matter for induction or deduction. Why? Because it is revealing the nature of the deducer and the inducer. So therefore it is atarkyam, and then atarkyam, atarkyah. And how is it atarkyah? Swabuddhya abhyuhena, abhi uhena. Uha means guesswork. Yeah. Uha. Yeah. Uha is guesswork. What kind of guesswork? Swabuddhya. Some subjective conjectures going by the name of logic. May or may not be logical. Swabuddhya, uha, conjecture, uhate, atmanepada, to come to some conclusion. Not even conjecture, conclusions. So, abhyuhena means abhitaha, as the time and the buddhi permit. What, people are coming to various conclusions and thinking it is logical. So Atma is under the grip of these kinds of abhyuhas. And what is this? Swabuddhya. Buddhi is at operating, and what is it doing? It is thinking of Atma. The first problem, many problems in trying to think of Atma logically. First problem, the Atma is thought of to be an object rather than the subject. And then I look for general observations. And then I look for specific observations to see if they apply to the Atma, and then I come to a grand inference about the Atma. Like, I think, therefore I must be. This is the problem with this uha. And he says that let us not think that this Upanishad or any Upanishad is like other scriptures from other traditions. In other scriptures of other traditions, what is there? You have to believe that somebody died even before you were born for the sins that you were going to commit. But I didn't ask to be born exactly. That was the first sin, that you were born. You were born sinner. But how do you know you have to believe? When I am a sinner, I don't like it exactly. That's why you need to be saved. How? You have to declare, I am saved. And you have to recognize Jesus Christ or whatever, some person as the Messiah, as the Savior. Jesus Christ can change anybody. You have to recognize as the Savior. And then you are absolved. But, no ifs, no but. Don't but in here. This is not a matter of understanding. This is matter of belief. And if you believe you are saved, you are saved. If you don't believe you are saved, you are done in for. You will fry. What will happen? You will fry. Where? In hell. Where is hell? A bad, hot place. Hotter than 98 degrees? Yes, hotter than 98 degrees. Hotter than the Middle East? Definitely hotter than the Middle East. You will fry in hell. Oh, that doesn't sound nice. No. For how long? Forever. How can anyone fry forever? First of all. And that which is subject to the fryer, which is the body, has already been left behind. So what is going to fry? Fry is not always present continuous. That's why they say, I'm fried. Yeah. Past. The past comes very soon. And the repast of that which is fried is charred. We know this. Everything is charred. So once it's charred, it doesn't matter if it's keeping on frying because it's not going to feel anything. How can anything be eternally frying? It's all against logic. But one is asked to believe things because this is the whole tradition of some idea of afterlife based on salvation. That's what it is. And the afterlife is where life really starts. This is what the whole thing is. We don't have this. Atarkya here doesn't mean you swallow anything that is given to you. No. We are not opposed to logic. We are not, we encourage all activities that involve the buddhi, subuddhi, starting with sudoku. Yeah, so, yeah, that which stimulates the buddhi. Yeah, I told you anything starting with su is good. Yeah, I'm keeping my promise. Anything that gives subuddhi, good buddhi, like sudoku, is encouraged. Standing on the head, encouraged. Why? Because blood supply to the brain, definitely encouraged. Shirshasana, please. It writes the thinking. Yeah. And then what happens as a result of this? As a result of this, I am thinking properly. We want you to think properly. The Upanishad wants its students to think properly. What is proper thinking? It's not opposed to logic, but it is clever enough, smart enough to know the things where logic cannot touch. Logic is used as an auxiliary means of knowledge to internalize the truth of that which doesn't need any logic. We are not opposed to tarka. What are we opposed to? Kevala tarka. Kevala tarka means only logic as a pramana. No. Because we have our own pramana. The Shastra is the pramana. The Shastra is a special means of knowledge, is the only means of knowledge specially made to understand that which is not available for any other means of knowledge, knowing which makes one's life meaningful, purposeful. This is what is called agama. Asamantat gacchati, that which leads you completely to the goal of yourself. Asamantat gamayati, actually, agama, that is better. Asamantat gamayati. Gamayati means to causal, to lead. That which leads you, and then gama you take and you make a word. These are, Sanskrit is full of, acronyms like this. Like even khaga, sarvagaha, sarvagnya, like that. This is agama. Asamantat gamayati. That which leads you totally, without a doubt, up till the goal. So we are not opposed to logic. We are opposed to all kinds of conjectures only at the cost of discrediting the Shastra, what the Shastra has to teach. What the Shastra has to teach has nothing to do with logic. It cannot be again tested by logic, because one pramana in its area of operation, I pointed out, is the king. It cannot be either tested, ratified, or disregarded, discredited by another means of knowledge. Like if the eyes say this is red, or whatever color it is, orangish, red, pinkish, orange, whatever it is, the eyes are saying this, correct? The ears cannot say I beg to differ. No, I think it's green. The eyes will tell the ears, shut up and mind your own business. Yeah, don't come here. And if supposing the ears are hearing ice cream truck sound, ding, 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 eyes cannot say, no, that's just FedEx. You cannot say that. Why? Because the ear knows what, because the area of operation it's the king in its own area of operation. That's why it's called a pramana. It's got complete and independent way of knowing. It reigns supreme in its area. So just as the ears cannot dismiss what the eyes have seen, because it is beyond the scope of the ears, Similarly, logic cannot dismiss what the Shastra as a means of knowledge has to tell you about yourself. Oh, but why do I need the Shastra? That's because otherwise one comes to wild conjectures, agatihi, avagatihi, samsaragatihi, what else, anavagatihi, all these problems come. Because the conjectures are many, and in fact, the starting point is a mistake. Who made the mistake? I made the mistake. And then if you try to rectify that mistake using the same steps with which you came to the conclusion, because the same logical conclusion, I am no good, has been arrived very logically. I am an idiot. How? Well, I don't feel too good. And general observation, I generally don't feel very good. Specific observation, the people in my family never take me seriously. Specific observation. Therefore, you see, here is the logical inference. Therefore, I am no good. I am unsuccessful. Why? How did you come to this conclusion? Very logically, I am unsuccessful. Anything I touch turns to dust, without being Lord Shiva. I seem to have gained a partial blessing from Lord Shiva. Why do you say you are unsuccessful? Because, you see, I attempted to float my own company. So what happened? It sank. Glub, glub, glub. It did not float. And then attempt number 2, I tried to do something else. Another company I started. And what happened? My partner with whom I started parted company. That is what happened to the second company. What happened then? Wow. So just those 2 things. No, even otherwise in life, whatever I start, I don't start anything, because whatever I start, I know will come to a wrong end. So therefore, I am unlucky. Therefore, I am unsuccessful. Whereas, see, this is a viparita logic also is there. You take observations that confirm your hypothesis, and observations that are against something, like an unlike observation. Unlike my neighbor, I am unsuccessful. You see, whatever the neighbor touches turns into gold. Whatever I touch turns into dust. And so therefore, I am unsuccessful iti. This is also logically arrived. I am a samsari, extremely logically arrived. Samsarin, so I am in samsara, that makes me a samsari. You see, so much samsara around, samsara here, samsara there, here a samsara, there a samsara, everywhere a samsara, This is logically arrived at. So where did this original logic alone, that time there was no Shastra, correct? When you were arriving at these wrong conclusions, lifelong wrong conclusions. I don't have this, I am sick, I am sad, I am bad, I am mad, I am rad, I am a cad, all these things, you arrived at logically only, correct? Yeah, these are all well thought out logical conclusions. Where did they lead you? Down the drain pipe of samsara. Correct? That's where it led. So therefore what? So when you see, now this is very logical. This is the kind of logic we thrive in. When you used only logic without Shastra Pramana, what happened? I went down the drain of samsara. So therefore, if you try to use logic again to find out who you are, what is likely to happen? The same thing. This is what we look, this is a very logical way to look at these things. So therefore, logic alone is not going to get me out of samsara. This is the correct use of logic. Yeah, this is the correct use of logic. This is how we say. This is what is called Shruti Anukula Tarka. Yeah, Tarka, not Takra. Takra means lassi. No, Tarka, not Takra. Tarka. Shruti Anukula, that which goes alongside with what the Shruti is explaining, and I help myself by coming to the correct conclusions using the same things which I used before. The subject matter is the same, but then I come to the correct conclusion. Like as in this above example, what we just learnt. It's a correct conclusion. Through deploying logic properly and seeing that the truth of this logic doesn't go beyond what? The problems themselves. Therefore, here is the logic. I need a new pramana. I need a brand new pramana called agama that will gamayofy me, gamayati. That will lead me out of this samsara. Otherwise, I am just roaming around, like blindfolded by my own thinking. This is logic. It blindfolds me. It doesn't, tell me where I am. And the same thing that led me to get lost in samsara cannot lead me out. The master's tools shall never dismantle the master's house. This is the logic. This is the correct logic. And so we are not opposed to tarka, but we are opposed to kevala tarka. Tarkyam anoho no tarkyamane anuparimane kenachit स्थापिते आत्मनि ततः हि अणुतरम्. So tarkyamane anuparimaane sthapite atmani. So tarkyamane means through the logic, anuparimane. So people can come to the wrong conclusion that the Atma is a little flicker of consciousness, Atma is a little speck of consciousness, Atma is part of consciousness, Atma is a drop of consciousness, whatever conclusions, kenachit by someone, chit and these are all indeclinables, so kenachit sthapite, established by someone, stha plus puk plus past participle. So caused by someone to stay, have the staying power, established by someone, atmani, with regard to the atma, with reference to the atma, vishaya saptami, tataha, therefore, hi anutaram, therefore it is not just anutara, anutama. How? अन्यः अभ्यूहति ततः अपि अन्यः अनुतममिति नहि कुतर्कस्य निष्ठा क्वचित् विद्यते. So what is the problem here? One says anutara, coming to the wrong conclusion by only logic. Logic has no business in trying to establish the Atma, because the Atma is what establishes the logic. This is all turned around. Because of Atma there is logic. It's not that logic is something coming other than Atma to derive the Atma. Then otherwise, if in this scenario, logic becomes more powerful, more pervasive than Atma. And then Atma becomes Anutara, Anutara, Anutama, small, smaller, smallest, each one arguing wrongly about like the 5 blindfolded men, feeling the elephant. One says it's in the shape of a hook, a big bone, like this. And the other one says, no, it's some moving finger like this. The other one says, no, it's a fan. No, it's a whisk. No, it's a pillar. Each one thinking they know everything because they are using the wrong means of coming to conclusions about that which has to be existent and which has to be already existent and already free, which is the sitting duck for various conclusions. So, nahi kutarkasya nishtha kvachit vidyate. Kvachit means it's almost the kwa plus chit gives it a sense of time. Nowhere. Kvachit, nowhere. Anywhere. So kvachit na vidyate. Nowhere is it seen, nowhere can it be said that for this wrong use of logic, kutarkasya nishtha, there is no assimilation of knowledge through the wrong use of logic. And further cautioning the wrong against the wrong use of logic, a whole verse is dedicated, a whole mantra is dedicated, and also continuing with the, what is that? Continuing with the stuti of the jnanam, and the student. Stuti means the praise. Lord Yama says, Naisha tarkena matirapaneya
Naisha tarkena matirapaneya
Proktananyaneva
Proktananyaneva
No, Proktananyenaiva
Proktananyenaiva
Sujnanaya Preshtha
Sujnanaya Preshta
Yam Tvamapaha
Yam Tvamapaha
Satyadhritir Batasi
Satyadhritir Batasi
Tvadringno Bhuyat
Tvadringno Bhuyat
Nachiketah Prashta.
Nachiketa Prashta.
So much emphasis on Ananya, Ananya. Here also this Anya I made into Ananya. Yeah, in the second line. Naisha tarkena matirapaneya
Naisha tarkena matirapaneya
Proktananyenaiva
Proktananyenaiva
Proktan what?
Proktananyenaiva
Yeah, that's what I said, no? Proktananyenaiva.
Proktananyenaiva.
Something is not right.
No, Proktan Yenaiva.
Yeah. Proktanyenaiva
Proktanyenaiva
Sujnanaya Preshtha
Sujnanaya Preshta
Yam Tvamapaha
Yam Tvamapaha
Satyadhritir Batasi
Satyadhritir Batasi
Tvadringno Bhuyat
Tvadringno Bhuyat
Nachiketah Prashta.
Nachiketa Prashta.
Prashta, not Prashtaha. Prashtru. Prashta, okay? Yeah, Prashtru. So Prashta, not Prashtaha. So, Matihi. Matihi means this cognition, this understanding, or it can also mean the kind of mentality that has to exist before this knowledge can be got. A prepared mind is mati, the cognition of the Atma is also mati. So many things. Mati means many things. And then, but in this context, mati means this wisdom that you are having, esha matihi, this cognition of Atma. And you know, he says this with the same force as Acharyavan Purusho Veda. Even though the knowledge has not started, he calls him Vidwan in one place, and he calls him esha matihi, that you have got. You know, that means what? He is so sure that Nachiketa will gain this knowledge. That is the idea. So, and so esha matihi, that knowledge that which you have, yam, which matihi, esha matihi, yam matihi, that mati, tvam apaha, that matihi which you have gained, praptavan asi. Esha matihi, yam tvam apaha. See, we are moving all around, just look at the verse. Esha, it is hidden in Naisha. Esha matihi, yam tvam apaha, na tarkena apaneya. This kind of wisdom this cognition of Atma that you have gained, na esha, this is not ever gained through what? Through logic. It is never gained through logic. And then, that is one meaning. Then, esha matihi na apaneya tarkena. May this wisdom that you have gained, esha matihi yam tvam apaha, this mind, this mindset of knowledge that you have gained, may it never be discarded. May it never be misdirected, misled, or taken over by logic, or what you consider to be logic. May it never be displaced. Why? Because proktan anyenaiva prokte sujnanaya preshtha. Sujnanaya, for gaining this knowledge properly, for assimilating this knowledge. A very unusual use of the fourth case. Fourth case sometimes is used in this manner, that as a remedy for ajnanam. So it's a kind of a remedial usage. So sujnanaya preshtha, and preshtha means the dearest one. Priya, and then Priya plus Iyasun, Preyas. Priya plus Ishtan, Preshtha, dearest one, the best one. Only the logic doesn't cut it. Only when someone else explains it properly does it yield itself to proper understanding, and that yielding sense is conveyed through the unusual use of the fourth case. And who are you? Tvam Satyadhriti. Satyadhritihi. Satyadhritihi yasya. Of correct perseverance, of the one who perseveres truth, one who clings to truth. Dhriti is perseverance. The one who clings to truth is called Satyadhriti, because you were untempted by all the other things that I gave you. I tried to dissuade you and you remained undissuaded. Bata is a expression. Aho batamat mahat papam kartum vyavasita vayam. We saw that Arjuna says this at the end of the first chapter. Aho bata, oh no, oh dear, oh dear. Aho is the ancient version of Ayyo. Aho papam, ayyo pavam, like that we say. So, aho is a expression. Aho bata, oh no. But here, so it's usually a expression of dismay, bata. But here it's an expression of wonder. Bata, it's a wondrous statement. Aho bata, oh wow. Bata here means wow. Oh wow, look at you who is clinging to the truth against all odds. Oh dearest one, because the teacher is highly pleased with this little prodigy called Nachiketa. Oh Nachiketa, and then he gives a blessing to himself, that and to all other teachers he gives a blessing. Twadrik bhuyat. Twadrik. Drik actually means seer, but at the end of the compound, drik drishau drishaha. So it's like it means like, not really seer, but like. Twadrik means like you bhuyat. Shirling, that's why I said blessing. So it's a blessing. And Twadrik bhuyat. May O Nachiketa, may all the prashtas, the questioners, the seekers of knowledge be like you. For us, naha. That's why the plural, just for me and all other teachers also are perhaps included. May every teacher have a student like you and you alone. Because you are the dearest one, you excel, compared to all Shishyas, all Putras, all prodigies. You have shown by the dint of your perseverance to that which is truth. You don't want anything else. And what is the truth? The truth is that unchanging tattva, that which is not subject to change, that which remains the same in all periods of time, that which is not subject to negation. You caught hold of that, and catching hold of that, you have displayed the extent to which you can cling to this. And so he gives him two blessings. One is what? Don't, one blessing is, may all questioners be like you for us. And then may this wisdom that you are going to gain from me, but you have already gained, so that is one blessing. Second blessing is na matihi apaneya. Apaneya means that may it never be lost. May this knowledge never be lost in the meandering maze of the deployment of wrong logic, wrong conjectures, wrong conclusions derived from what? The everyday observances and observations, where the everyday observations take on some, one comes to wrong conclusions. It's very easy to happen. Yeah, this is not someone who is not studying. That's the sad thing. One is studying, and while studying, one suddenly comes to the conclusion, this is useless. Very sad. Suddenly, in the middle of the studies, the everyday takes over as a bigger reality, and then one uses the logic to say this is of no use. And this is of no use because it's not, making me happy right now. Or this is of no use because I have studied and nothing is happening. Wrong conclusion. Or this is of no use because it is, you see, my observation, see how in keeping with the observation it is. See, this is what I am observing. I am observing that the more I study Vedanta, I don't have time to have fun. I am observing that. This is dangerous. Esha matihi apaneya, he says. Please, na apaneya, don't let it derail you. And don't let it make you abandon the quest. This is a prayer for all mumukshus. This is actually a beautiful kind of a blessing by Lord Yama, that may all mumukshus with great difficulty and having made time in their lives, online, offline, in person, etc., having made time in the life, you have come so far to reach this verse, and having come this far, may you continue. May you never make the wrong conclusion, having come thus far, but no further will I go. Let this not be a door closing in the face of your quest. Never let this have that effect. Why? Because he acknowledges that there are many things that can take one away, derail one from the slow clarity which is the blessing of this knowledge. Because suddenly the mati comes and starts to, kumati comes. Yeah, not sumati, kumati comes. What is kumati? Bad mati. Yeah. Huh?
Sister.
Ah. Bad mati comes. Bad mati comes and does apaharanam, abducts Sumati, ties and gags her up, and then puts her, locks her in a shed. Not Upanishad, but locks her up, and then this one reigns all over the place, dances on the head of Sumati and says, me the great, And oh, I was so confined. This stupid Vedanta classes day in and day out, not a minute to breathe, and all this kitch in the head. The head is full of things. I'm joining a cult. Oh no, this is terrible. This is one way one stops all things. One stops. Or there is a projection on other students. You know, look at all those people like what is that? Sheep flocking to these classes. Ba, saying like this. One says, they can't say Brahman, so they can only say Ba for Brahman. So they are all bleating, and they are bleating and gloating, thinking that they are all getting something out of it. Look at them, all of them, no mind of their own, no hobby, nothing, morning to night, just sitting, driving everyone crazy, and then they just leave their homes, which is a horrible thing to do, and then they are telling us also to leave our homes, very bad influence. And so there is a transference or a projection on the sahapathis. What are sahapathis? Students, other students. Or there is a misunderstanding of or with the teacher. This is why we always say Sahana Bhavatu with great fervency. Very fervently we have to say that. There is a misunderstanding with the teacher. Up till now the knowledge was okay, but suddenly I don't like the teacher. Why? What did the teacher do? Oh, don't even ask. Teacher didn't look at me during class. Finished. And our teacher did not. Were you looking at the teacher? No, I was sitting behind the basketball player. Then so this is the thing. And so these are all the various problems where when the problems come, instead of logically looking at it, in what kind of logic? A Shruti friendly logic. Shruti anukula yuktihi tarkaha. Instead of looking at it logically, all the logic comes back and then takes me away from the teaching situation. The main person I hurt is myself. I hurt my prospects of assimilating this knowledge. I hurt my prospects of happiness. I hurt my prospects of gaining this completely. I hurt my own prospects. It's not that the teacher is hurt or other students are hurt. I hurt myself. Why? Because it's all about me. It's aham. And I am the most precious thing here. And I deserve to know this. This is that Esha Matihi. I deserve to know. I am someone. I am everything. I am everyone. If this knowledge is made for me and no one else, this is the beauty of it. This knowledge is mine. This is my birthright. That is the proper Mati. This is my birthright. I have every right to know this, and I am going to gain this no matter what. That is the proper Mati. And that is what I am going to be equipped with, so that I am not dragged out of the classroom by the crocodiles of despair and doubt and sharks of misunderstanding gnawing at my feet. Feet means foundation here. And therefore I will not be misled by this, and neither will I allow the habitual so-called logical explanations come in the way of my very being, and so therefore this is a eulogization of Yama and Nachiketa and the sacred relationship they have, because the relationship between the teacher and the student is perhaps the most sacred. Why? Because it is the least susceptible to codependence, and it's a very funny relationship, because it is a relationship where there is a lot of caring and there is a lot of love, but it is expressed differently than other samsaric expressions of caring and love. How is it different? It is different because that's why Nachiketa is called Preshtha. Oh, and Somya also somewhere, in Chandogya Upanishad. Sadeva Somya, my dear fellow, my love, Preshtha, my dearest one. And the teacher is calling the student dearest one. So obviously there is great love, but it's a love that is not conditioned by what the students can give in return. because there is no expectation. There is not even the expectation that so and so will become a teacher. Even that expectation is not there. One teaches just for the joy of teaching. And if anybody gets it, one gets it. If anybody doesn't get it, one keeps on teaching. That's what it is. So therefore, and on part of the student also, there is great love and attachment sometimes. But the attachment is okay. Why? Because it is one-sided. It does not create problems. When the attachment becomes two-sided, problems. Attachment is one-sided. So sometimes one has to catch on to something. Because up till now one was catching on to so many all false things. Then if one catches on to the personage of the teacher, it's a little bit of a problem, yes. But that is a problem that one will come out of. Because the teacher is not catching on back. Yeah. And this was so beautifully explained by Swamiji. Just last year, when I went to see him, I had gone to some conference and I saw him in November. And there was one man who said to me that I was classmates with Pujya Swamiji when he was a lad of 12 or 10. He said we used to climb trees together, we used to terrorize the neighborhood, we were all full of all kinds of mischief, everything. He was telling me all these stories. And he says, I have never left this man's side all my life. And I refuse to leave him even now. And then he turned to me and he said, the problem is with this attachment. I have so much attachment to him. And this is what he keeps telling, to drop. But I'm unable to drop. I have this attachment. And and everybody thinks, oh, Pujya Swamiji cannot hear. He is sitting so far away. He was just listening to our conversation. Like if Pujya Swamiji was sitting here, I and this man were standing at the end of the room. He is listening to everything. And then he says, it's okay for him to be attached. He's talking to me. Because it's only one-sided. And he gives a big grin. Big smile. It's one-sided. And it is therefore it is harmless. This is the beauty. Because he will never be taken advantage of. It's harmless. And it's harmless also because this attachment is standing in lieu of that attachment which he feels for the Atma, his own Atma, which is Swamiji's Atma, which is the Atma of the whole universe, which is the Atma of Ishvara. Everything is one. So when he finds that out, this will naturally resolve. There's no action needed. It's okay. It's perfectly okay. So therefore what? But what is not okay is to take this attachment, and use that as a way of going away from the knowledge. That is when we come back. That is when we have to give ourselves a big pat on the back because we are here. We are here now. This is the beauty of the teaching. And therefore in the Chandogya, in the Samaveda Shanti Mantra, Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakarot. Nirakaranam means negation. May I never be in a place to negate Brahman using logic or any other weapon. Hitting Brahman on the head with logic is not going to help. Mama Brahma Nirakarot. May Brahman not abandon me. Or may I never feel abandoned by the teacher who is the stand-in for Brahman. May I never feel abandoned by Bhagavan who is the stand-in for that knowledge which I am pursuing. This is what the whole thing is, and this is what this verse is going to teach. And very beautiful. Very naesha tarkena matihi apaneya prokta anye naiva sujnanaya preshtha yam tvamapaha satyadhriti bata asi twadrik naha bhuyat. Naha for us. May there be students like Nachiketa alone who are prashta, questioners, seekers, students. So the Bhashya of this we will see tomorrow at 4 o'clock and day after tomorrow also at 4 o'clock. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Yes.
Can you help me understand something?
Sure.
So, I feel like expect because I don't know what to expect when it comes to object. Yeah, so, like for example, this can have samsara, this can have atma. If this is the truth of the whole thing,
Yes.
then what am I pointing at?
Yeah, you are not pointing to samsara. Samsara is as though that is the
yes.
truth. Two cannot be equally real if we are talking of non-duality. One has to be more real than the other. In fact, there is only one reality, the other is shadow. Shadow play being mistaken for the real, because that light of knowledge is to sink in. So samsara is dismissed.
Okay.
Yeah, Atma is affirmed.
And then, if I am the whole thing, does that mean also you are the same thing? You're the
Yes,
same
absolutely.
thing?
How
Okay.
can you be that without me being that? Not possible. Yes,
We are all I.
we are all I.
Okay.
Very nice restatement of Mahavakya. We are all I. And that I is I for Ishvara. Okay? Yeah. Huh?